I'm gonna go and talk about Apple a little bit. Again, I'm gonna look at a couple of articles, its future prospects, and the reason why it's still the biggest position by far in the account. So first, I'm gonna go through, that's the wrong page, into the account here. Sitting at 148,000 at the moment. I'm gonna quickly go through it. The options positions here on the right as usual. The daily change is gonna be highlighted in red or green. Daily change of liability on the right. And this is the strike. The ticker, then the strike price, put or call, expiration date, number of contracts, sell or buy. So you can feel free to pause the video at any moment to try to figure out the exact position. I'm scrolling. So Apple, which is going to be the topic of today, actually down $2,000 on the day. The EBIX trade's been actually doing very well for me so far. Just a quick update on that. There's going to be, I think, some kind of announcement on the 22nd. So we'll see what their CEO says and what their numbers look like, hopefully audited by the new auditor that they hired. So everything is basically red, with the exception of EBIX a little bit, and then Alibaba and Verizon in the account. Okay, so that's it with the account. So I'm going to go straight to the topic here. Why is Apple still the biggest position? Even though it's had a bit of a pullback in recent days, with the rest of the tech sector caused by the belief of most market analysts, by the sharp increase, let's say, in interest rates, specifically on the 10-year bond. And that usually has a adverse effect on growth stocks, because growth stocks benefit from lower interest rates. The Apple is considered growth stock still and considered tech stock, and it's falling with the rest of the market. There's also other factors, which is the increase in volatility. Volatility has been increasing because of the meme stock market and certain bubbles and crazes out there. So more specifically like GameStop or other highly shorted stocks, and that creates just a lot of volatility in the market. And so with increased volatility, there are many algorithms and funds that there are many funds running algorithms that automatically sell a portion of their portfolio, a portion of their stocks, especially the high growth stocks, when the market reaches a certain value of volatility. Okay, now actually the VIX as of late has been coming down a little bit. VIX being the ETF / measure of volatility in the market. However, Apple hasn't really recovered that much. So I thought I'd give it another look and see if the underperformance is warranted relative to the rest of the market, especially indexes like the Dow or the S&P 500, where Apple's been clearly lagging. So I'm going to look at some figures and also reaffirm my thesis on the company a little bit and where that growth in earnings power is going to come from. Now, they did have their best quarter ever just recently, and they totally blew all the measures out of the water. The earnings were the highest by far, mostly probably because of their penetration in foreign markets, as well as stimulus checks and whatnot going towards Apple phones, which was predictable. And there is that worry, by the way, that if and when the stimulus checks end, the demand for Apple products is going to wane with it. So I guess we'll have to watch for that. But one thing I'm not worried about is their prospect in India. Now, India is is a market that Apple is very under-owned in. Okay, so not a lot of people in India have Apple phones. In fact, just the most recent figures that I can tell, they're not very accurate, or at least the consensus is not there. But it's anywhere between 2 and 4%. I'm seeing this article here says it's at 2.7% of all phones in India are Apple. But one thing I want to keep in mind that I like to keep in mind is that only about 38% of India, or at least last time I saw, it's probably 40 now or a little bit higher. Only that many percent in India actually own a smartphone, which is a very jarring thought. So most developed countries like Europe and the United States have in smartphone usage in the 90 percentile of the population. Some countries at 98, okay, like Australia or something like that. These are just numbers off the top of my head, but they're approximates, they're not exact. So India is very, very far behind. Even China is quite a bit ahead of India when it comes to the amount of smartphones that it has. And the competition is very fierce for these smartphones. Now, Xiaomi has 27% of the phone market there. Samsung has almost 20%. Vivo has 14%. Oppo has 11%. Realme has 9%, and Apple is 2.74%, right? So you can see the competition is very, very fierce. All these phones use the Android operating system, and they have built out a very, very good advantage in India by partnering up with all the local tech, which fits into another bigger picture about India, which is they want to use local champions and local tech in order to kind of promote and grow their economy from within. It's a very, very interesting move, something that other economies have not really tried. So it's kind of an experiment, and I'm very curious as to how that's going to build out. But of course, they don't want to limit themselves from technology either. They want to have smartphones in India, as that is a very productivity enhancing tool, it's more so than many probably imagine. But my point about these numbers, with as far as ownership of phones goes in India, is that Apple has a lot of ground to make up. Now, what all these phones have in common is that they're a lot cheaper, and I'm talking 1/10 of the price sometimes. And they all run the same system, and there's just not that unique factor to them. Like, they may be practical, but if you're a classist, okay, where you want to show off, or you want a status symbol of some sort, then you're gonna want that Apple phone. It's definitely become a status symbol as of late. It's kind of like a luxury good, or maybe like a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci or whatever your favorite brand is, fashion brand. So Apple has kind of become the status symbol, like driving, a very unique, differentiating, high quality, expensive car. So the fact that the price is higher than the rest of the phones, I don't see it as an advantage. They're not competing on the same level. They're not competing for the same people in the same market. So as soon as someone in India is able to afford the Apple phone, I'm sure they'll jump onto it. And I don't have the figures in front of me, but India is definitely growing when it comes to income, average income, and median income, and it's growing faster than other nations. It's catching up to the Western nations very fast. And as the middle class arises and their purchasing power improves, my guess is that a lot of these Android phones are going to get replaced by Apple phones, especially since some of them will be buying a phone for the very first time. And if your first phone is Apple, they have that stickiness to them. Once you get locked into the operating system, it's very hard to go out of it. And so my guess is that they'll be sticking around with Apple for a while, and more people will be gradually gravitating towards that ecosystem. Now, while that's happening in the next 2 or 3 or 5 years, the company isn't sitting still. right? They've launched their services, and in my opinion, it's been kind of bumpy. Not a very immediate adoption, but they are starting to monetize their user base, right? They are starting to monetize everybody who holds an Apple device. They can purchase Apple products and Apple subscriptions. They don't have to have that market be taken. Be dominated by third party, right? So you have, for example, Spotify, which I use still, but they have their own competitor, which is Apple Music, and so many Apple users prefer to subscribe to that instead of trying to search for third-party programs. So in the meantime, they're fighting that battle, right? They're competing on the streaming services. They have their, all kinds of services from entertainment to health services, and that's still going on. The mic didn't just shut off. That would be unfortunate. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here because I'm kind of scared that I unplugged my mic for the entire thing. Hopefully it got recorded. But Apple's still in my biggest position. I think there's growth to happen still, and over the next 6 months to a year, it may not be that great of a growth. We might not even reach a new all-time high, even if the market does. But I'm pretty hopeful for the years to come, and Apple's ability to outperform the S&P 500. All right, I'm gonna end it right there. So that's it. Peace out.